Hello everybody, it's Ryno, and I am here today at Disney's Hollywood Studios, and that can mean, well, one of any number of things, but today it means I'm doing another episode of Tap House Talks, and that is going to be the official name. That is what it's been settled on, Tap House Talks, and that's fine. I will forever be a baseline babe at heart, but Tap House Talks is what it is. So I've got a guest for me that's over there that I'm going to go in, and we're going to have a fun conversation. Not going to tell you who they are or what we're talking about yet. I mean, it's probably already in the description of the video and the title of the video, but whatever. I like to keep the mystery alive while you're watching. So before I head inside, I want to remind everybody that this and everything that we do here is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts in helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. When you book with them, it costs you nothing extra on your trip, and you help support the channel and all the content that we produce here. So check them out, dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. And now that I have said that, and I've been just slowly migrating away from people, I'm gonna go in and meet my friend at Baseline Tap House. I'm recording this just before Halloween, and today it's about 88 degrees is the high, but it looks like right after Halloween we're gonna have some nicer weather in the 70s. I think there's some lows in the 58s coming up. Can't wait for that. But that was my conversation last time with Denny, where I talked about good weather. So you can check that out if you haven't watched that episode yet. This different conversation today. I already know my friend's order, so I'm just gonna go right inside and order for us, because that's how nice I am. I actually don't know what I'm gonna get today. My surprise guest today is my friend Jill. Hello, Jill.
Hello.
Thank you for being here. What did I deliver to you from the Tap House menu?
Oh, a delightful, my favorite, hibiscus soda.
You know why I love it?
Free refills.
Free refills. You got it. It's like $4.59 and it's free refills. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty delicious, honestly.
A bargain.
Yeah. there was a Sierra Nevada Oktoberfest, because I was like, you know what? As of recording this is the day before Halloween. Even though we are going to be talking about something holiday related.
I was like, is it the day before Halloween? It feels like the day before 4th of July. It's very sweaty.
Well, it is like 88 degrees today. It is very sweaty, but we are going to have a temperature drop later this week that I'm very excited for. And I feel like it's ushering in the holidays. So
I'm ready.
Yeah.
This year, I saw a thing the other day that said in Orlando, the culture is that Halloween starts in August, and then because everybody's over it, Christmas starts the week before Halloween.
Did you see that, like, Target and like all these places have so much Christmas stuff out already?
Yeah. My brother's big into the birds, the Target birds.
Yeah.
And I went one day and was like, what do you need? And then immediately the following day was completely wiped out.
That's the part where I'm also like, it's like early release of stuff where I was like, don't do that to me. Like, because you took your time with Halloween coming out, and I'm fine with, here's honest to God, I'm fine with Christmas starting November 1st.
Halloween was very late this year, like as far as Target and like a lot of those stores getting their merch. They didn't put stuff out until like the end of September. Yeah,
it was crazy. But I feel like I told myself I would commit 100% to the holidays starting November 5th, because November 4th is the last day of Halloween Horror Nights, and that's how Halloween Horror Nights and Mickey's Not So Scary are the two things that kind of gauge the holiday season on here.
And Halloween has consumed your entire life, so.
Well, let me ask you this. Are you going to Mickey's Not So Scary or Jollywood Nights? Not Mickey's Not So Scary. Mickey's Very Merry. Yeah.
No, we went last year.
To the Magic Kingdom Christmas party?
This is such blasphemy, but I don't really care for the events, the ticketed events here in Florida.
I like the Disneyland
anymore.
ones better.
Like after being at the Disneyland ones for a few years, you're like, they don't offer enough like extended entertainment. Now with Jollywood, it sounds like they're doing a lot of extra shows and things.
Jollywood is interesting because of what we know now. I know I talked about this, I think, a little on another video, but we didn't have information. Like, it looks like it's very much an event to come and like eat and have some classy drinks at, Like, I keep thinking about it, but I think it's going to be too short. I think it's only going to be 4 hours.
Yeah, that's too
And
short.
If you're waiting to get into, the Brown Derby Lounge, which is becoming like a Christmas overlay.
If you have to have any wait of any kind, if you wait an hour even to get into one of the little lounge parties or something, or for a show, that's your whole night.
Yeah.
Like, you got to pick like two things that you're going to.
They're having specials here at Baseline Tap House too, which is crazy. But I feel like so I need to we can spill this tea because you don't work there anymore.
Yep.
But you and I were both formerly Disney cast members.
Correct.
Never worked together.
No.
But you were an entertainment cast member.
That
and
is correct.
what was your dream? Tell us. Take us back to that
so
night.
if we go back to 1983, like little.
Hold on.
Do the Scooby-Doo ending.
Yeah.
If we go all the way back to 1983, tiny little Jill, like, you know, when kids are like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And kids are normally like, a firefighter, a ballerina, or fairy princess, whatever. I, like, saw the taped version of the Christmas Parade on TV.
Yeah.
And was like, I want to be in the Christmas Parade. And for years, everyone laughed at me, like, that's not a real job. Well, apparently it is.
You found out and you discovered.
I discovered it is a real job, and you'll understand this. So 1983, Jill.
I wasn't alive yet. Yeah.
1983, me, 2 years prior to you being born, was like, I want to be in the Christmas Parade.
Yeah.
Didn't care
I
what
want to be in the Christmas Parade. That's my impersonation.
Till I was like 14 years old. That's all. That was my only life goal.
But can you do it with a Boston accent?
I didn't really have We've noticed that it's only on like certain words.
I feel like I realized we should have.
Like if it's optional.
Oh, optional. I feel like we should have prefaced this that Jill and I, though we did not know each other until we became roommates.
We lived like
my first roommate in Florida. Which is wild. So Jill is from the origin of Thanksgiving, Plymouth, Massachusetts. And
we have a rock.
I am from Carver. We had our cranberries, so you can imagine we did well on Thanksgiving. No, but yeah, so it's funny that little baby you was up there.
Yeah,
like,
little baby me was
I'm gonna
like, I'm going to be in the Christmas
Pilgrims.
Parade.
Yeah.
So, of course, like, you know, you move on and you're like a young adult. You're like, I have to have real jobs and all that stuff. And I had picked up a seasonal job at the Braintree Mall.
Oh, yes.
At the Disney store.
Wow, okay.
And
was it back when it still looked, you remember that like old classic look?
Unfortunately, my very limited time with the Disney store was in that short time when it was owned by the Children's Place and not actually a Disney.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So we had we moved it was like 8 temporary stores in the Braintree Mall. We did have one that had a dumbwaiter though, to like down in the basement of the Braintree Mall, and we used to ride it all the time.
Oh, no, that was safe.
Great. Very safe.
Yeah. Now we know where she inhaled all that asbestos.
Yeah.
So aren't technically when you work for a Disney store, did you get a main gate working for a Disney store?
Not back then.
Okay,
no,
I think they added that later.
We were not. Well, I think if you'd worked in the like film strip store, you did.
Yes, yeah, that's what I think.
But then, because I was like technically not an employee of the company because of the other.
Yeah, because of the third party. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, we got like discounted tickets.
It'd be like, I feel like by today's standards, it'd be like Target. You know how Disney store, some Targets have the Disney store in them now? It's like that, I feel like.
So anyway, so you grow up, you have other life goals, and you're like, I'll go to college and be a normal person. And I was a junior in college, and the college program people like came to recruit at Roger Williams.
Yeah.
And it was the last summer program that they were offering. So the last 10-week short, because most people for college program had to like either agree to like a summer or fall.
Oh yeah.
And it was like during
months.
The school
It was like three months.
So I signed on for the very last 10-week summer.
Yeah.
College program. I was merchandise in Adventureland. It was great. I loved everything about it.
And that was back when Magic Kingdom would be open at like 2 a.m. I feel like, right?
it was great. I worked Pirates and the bazaar over where like Aladdin is, and the Oakley sales.
Oh yes, yeah.
And there's a very strange store that sells stuff that looks like it's from PacSun.
Yeah.
On the veranda between Adventureland.
Those are all closed currently. I don't know if they're going to reopen. I hope. I want my discount on those Ray-Bans.
Program participant in 2001.
Yeah.
So all of those were still open on the inside. Like the stores weren't just the you could fully go into all of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I did that, and then I went back and finished college and got a real job. And that was the end of it. I was like, well, that was fun. I didn't get to be in a parade, but at least I got to wear a little pirate outfit, and that was neat.
Which housing complex did you live in?
Vistaway was all we had.
Oh, Vistaway. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, because Chatham was newer when I moved here.
In 2001, no non-international people were allowed in anywhere other than Vistaway. That was it.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So then Steve was a CP a couple years later.
Steve, your husband, yeah.
Steve, my husband.
Steve.
He did ODF. He did outdoor foods. Popcorn
I don't think I knew that.
Turkey legs. Ice cream.
I can totally see that. If you knew Steve looks like a caricature of somebody who was probably born and created to work on a Main Street
it's funny because whenever he wears that the tweed jacket that he borrowed from you, everybody's like, Newsies sell papes. It's very that.
Yeah.
But anyway, when he was a CP, he was at Chatham, which wasn't an option. When I was a CP.
Yeah.
So went back, finished school, graduated from Archer Williams on the biggest nor'easter of the century. My mother had a broken leg. She fell out the wheelchair in a field.
What year was that?
2002.
I don't even remember that. I would have been a senior in high school.
Well, because at Roger Williams, so the college that I went to was on the bay, next to
maybe
Newport.
I was a junior. Yeah,
it was on the bay next to Newport. So the weather was just beating down on the school, and it was tents set up in a field. So it was everybody's heels are sticking into the grass, and it was a mess.
I don't mean to laugh at your mother falling out of a wheelchair.
Not only that, but we had Kathy Rigsby, played Peter Pan, Olympic gymnast. She was our keynote speaker, and she got hypothermia. She was shaking, trying to give the keynote. They had to bring her in. And,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. But so then move on.
Okay, I know this is a real an offshoot, but I have a funny story because I'm thinking about your mom. If you knew her mom, you'd laugh at the image of her falling out in the field. But so at my college orientation, and it's one of those where it gives me cold sweats.
Yep.
We were all standing outside of a building on the tour or whatever that they were doing, and there was literally a woman, I think she was just a random woman walking down the sidewalk or whatever, but it was a pretty dense crowd, and I was standing behind the part where there was a step for the sidewalk. So we were kind of out into the street or whatever a little bit. It was the entryway where a car goes, so it was split, you know what I mean? And this woman missed her step. She fell, but she was also mean. So it was one of those where you're you're kind of getting me, but at the same time, I was oh no, and everybody rushed to help her, and my friend turned and looked at me and went, "Why did you do that to her?" Knowing exactly I had pushed her or tripped her. Yeah, and I was so embarrassed. I still think about it to this day because he saw her fall too, and he was like, "Here's my moment."
Oh my!
Anyway,
God, no.
Sorry.
Yeah, trying to pick my mother up out of the field was very wet.
Yeah.
It looked like mud wrestling.
She's gonna love that we're keeping that story in. Can't wait for her to see this. Yeah. But anyway, so you graduate college.
Yeah. So I graduate college, get a job, and I had that same job until 2006.
Was this early 2000 ski instructor?
Oh, no. I was a ski instructor in high school. I started that job when I was 14.
Yeah.
I've had every weird job on the planet. I was the arts and crafts director for the town of Plymouth. Everything.
I didn't know it was for the whole town. Oh, my gosh, yeah. I mean, you're crafty, and I feel like your mom's crafty.
All the summer programs for kids when they sign up to do little arts and crafts camp and all that. But anyway, no, this is when I was working for the construction company.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
So the construction company goes out of business.
Yeah.
And I was just what about Disney World?
Yeah. You just looked it up?
I just on the internet with we didn't
early
have dial-up.
Internet. Yeah, it was
2005. We had
I think we were moving on. Yeah.
So looked it up, and the only audition in the next 6 months was in Chicago, and it was a week later from when I looked it up. I got a flight round trip on the same day. I flew to Chicago, walked to the Bean and the fountain where the Married with Children, went to the top of the Sears Tower.
Yeah.
The audition was at some dance studio just outside of the city at 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So I got there at 7 a.m., did all the tourism things that you do in Chicago, walked 18 miles to the audition, and did the audition, and they were like, great, but we don't have anything in your height range, so we're putting you on a wait list. Thank you.
Yeah, that was actually my
and
story,
then I
too.
like cried
Yeah.
all the way home on the plane back to Massachusetts, like, well, that was my like Hail Mary life plan. What do I do now? And literally less than 2 weeks later, they called back and were like, oh, we saw that you're on the wait list and we have an open position that starts August 25th. And I was like, that's in like 2 weeks. Great. And I like rented a U-Haul trailer.
That was it? Just 2 weeks, and then you've been here since then?
2 weeks, and I've been here since, yeah.
So wait, that was 2005?
2005, yeah.
So you were here 2 years before I got here. Almost to the date, because I left in September 2007. Yeah. I mean, we moved into the apartment together, because you guys had moved in
I
like
had lived
right before I
other
moved
places,
in.
and then Seth had lived with me after Tony moved out and all of
I
that.
lived in an apartment full of character people, we'll say. And I mean, they all have big
Literally,
characters,
yeah.
And I was the one operations cast member in there. But it was funny because I also did do the audition, and I remember doing the dance in like the living room, and I got put in the waiting thing, and they were like, I went, and it was like 3 hours long because they made me do everything. The puppeteering thing, there was the parade part, there was puppeteering, there was like a whole thing. But it was the housing crisis started.
The thing for me was that I was in the character department for a very long time before I got to do any parades.
Yeah.
And
which
at the time was very normal. Like usually that was like a seniority thing or like need-based, whatever. And now it's like they're hired in and like learn every parade in every park in a minute.
Well, I remember you guys, like the anybody who was ever in that apartment, like you would be like practicing, like dancing in the living room all the time, like and stuff like that. Because you'd be doing overnights all the time.
So Christmas parade obviously was the goal from 3-year-old 1983 Jill.
So but remember, you're just friends with those characters because I don't want to.
Well, I wasn't saying.
Okay, I just don't want to ruin any magic. Okay.
We're not ruining magic.
Okay.
So I didn't,
wait. So tell me. Wait, hold on. 2005. You've gotten in.
2005. I'm in.
What do you do? Are you doing like fur characters?
Yeah.
Which
like,
for people who don't know, it means basically head to toe.
Yeah, just like mainly
full body.
Area thing, mostly Epcot.
Yeah.
Toontown.
Yeah, Toontown.
Toontown, back when Toontown.
My gosh,
still existed.
It's crazy that it was even existed then. I guess because you're like, I feel like it's been gone for so long, but
correct.
Yeah.
And then like back then you could go to like workshops to be in parades.
Oh.
Like you could sign up to like go to the little thing that would be
so
like. So
you could better yourself with your own like being like, oh, I just want to learn this, and they'd be like, well, we'll train you, and maybe you'll get it. Maybe
like
you won't.
I had gone to one. I went to one for a bunch of parades before I got into the parades department, and then I had done one for some stuff, like right before those things were then canceled from the park. And I was like, well, there goes that. But that was fun. But it was cool to like, learn the routines for stuff that you weren't doing every day.
Yeah, that's still. I feel like that's still like. Yeah, it's like a. I don't know. It's a cool exercise, if nothing else.
And so I had gone to a couple of these like parade workshops, and then I got cast in the Pirate and Princess Parade.
God, I forgot about that.
Remember
when they used to have those parties too?
Yeah.
Like after parties, right?
Yeah, so it was
ticketed event?
like how Halloween and Christmas are, where it's like a separate parade for a ticketed event.
Yeah, like when I first moved here, I remember that and just being like, oh, interesting. Like.
Yeah, so that was my first parade, but I was like, okay, well now I'm like I got a foot in the door, like where's Christmas?
Yeah.
And so I did 2006 and 2007 I did the Pirate Princess Parade for when the event returned, and then I eventually was next trained in the day parade, which was Disney Dreams Come True.
Yeah, because it was the year of a million dreams.
They had removed the globes, but it was before the parade changed to like different costumes.
So yeah, I forgot that last one when we lived together that you were in. That was like all the white outfits with the
white outfits
color.
With
and it was the Corbin Blue song.
That was Celebrate a Dream Come True.
Yes, yeah.
So Disney Dreams Come True was the like interim.
Yeah.
Like we've given it a peppier music.
Yeah.
But we still have like the different units and costumes and animators and all of that stuff. The bikes.
I remember going to, I mean, this is post you're doing the Christmas parade, but I remember hula hoops around the apartment. So that's how I knew you were training for Christmas. But I remember Move It, Shake It, Celebrate It.
Yeah.
Going to that
You
like
went to
midnight.
They used to do like a cast
The
preview.
preview. Yeah, you'd had to take a bus to go over. They bus you in. But I remember it was like, yeah, we were there like midnight, and it was crazy to be there. Like, I think I have a picture of it somewhere, but I can't include it in this video, so because I'm not going to be able to find it. I think it was printed. So
yeah, no, that was great. But so I finally got cast for the Christmas Parade in 2007, and then also did the same role in the Christmas Parade. In
I don't think I realized that when so I moved in with you in 2007. I don't think I realized that was your first year doing the Christmas Parade.
Yeah, I did the Christmas Parade in 2007, 2008. Hula hoop.
It's funny because, like, I know we're talking about her role as, like, fulfilling her Disney dream and becoming a parade dancer, but one of my first memories of you, not really having known you yet, because I felt like you were, not to be rude to our other roommates, very successful at what you wanted to do with what you were doing, so you weren't around as often in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I remember coming home one night, and I only think met you for, like, 2 seconds before this, and, like, it was so cold when I walked in the apartment that I thought, surely she'd been murdered or something, and someone had turned the air down to preserve the body, because there was like water dripping down the patio window and everything. And so I like look, and then on the counter there's this like giant cake, and I was like, what in God's name is happening here?
The castle cake.
Yeah, and I was just like, I mean, I was like, that's cool. And then later you were like, oh, it wouldn't fit in the refrigerator because all the refrigerator shelves were everywhere. And I was like, what happened? And you were just like, oh, well, it wouldn't fit in the refrigerator, so I tried to turn the apartment into a refrigerator. And I was like, I think we broke the air that night, but that's fine.
Probably.
Yeah, it wasn't our apartment.
Yeah, that was mostly the beginning of cakes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's funny how that led into... Then I feel like every now and then you would have one. Like I remember you did one that was like Drizella, or right? Like it was the Barbie in the cake.
The Barbie in the cake, and then there was the Cantina Band, like Head.
Yeah.
When Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
Star Wars Weekends was still happening here.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay, but tell me, was the Christmas Parade everything you had hoped? In 1983, you had hoped and dreamed it would be.
Well, yes.
You were in TV though, because I remember going home.
I was on TV for like 10 years because they
kept inserting your part, right?
Yeah, so they don't film every year. They film the interim, like the
like cutaways and stuff.
They film the performances every year, and the hosts
usually in like
and stuff.
the beginning of December.
But the parade part was only filmed like every 5 years.
Yeah. And
because the parade was brand new, because that was like a new version, it was the Once Upon a Christmas Time parade instead of...
Once Upon a Christmas Time.
Right, instead of Mickey's
my God, it's still that parade
Christmas
though.
Parade.
Right? Isn't it? No? Loosely.
Like they took the logo and put it at the end, and the units are all mixed up, and Frozen from here is like thrown in the middle. It doesn't really make a lot of sense now, but anyway, that was the first year of the brand new parade, so they shot every unit. And so for years, even though I wasn't even working for the company anymore, I was still in the Christmas parade on Christmas Day.
Yeah, I remember that first year of living here. I went home for Christmas that year, luckily, and I remember sitting in like where my mom still lives, like sitting downstairs watching the TV, and I remember the cutaway where it was you, and I was like, Mom, that's my roommate. Because it was like you, and you walked like right up to the camera. So I was like, that's cool. Yeah. Okay, so now looking back on all of it.
Yeah.
What are...
I was going to show you.
You think you have the photo?
Oh, no, I have...
You can text me the photo and I'll put it in.
I have this of me and Greg.
Oh.
I don't have the...
I think I know the photo you're talking about.
With the Cinderella carriage, yeah.
Well, if you find them before I publish the video, send them to me. If not, we tried. You saw it on camera. So, so obviously Christmas Parade was the big number one, but like you must have had some other like really great, like.
I would say.
Did you have like unexpected, like, oh, that ended up being something I didn't even know and I loved it?
I think like opening the Move It, Shake It parade was probably like that. Like when we reopened the Day Parade.
Still using those floats too, which is wild, right?
When we did like the new version of Day Parade, it was like kind of watered down from what we were doing with the Disney Dreams Come True parade, so it didn't really feel new. It was like, oh, it's the same thing we're still doing every day at the same time. We're just in new costumes.
Yeah.
But when we did Move It, Shake It, like nothing was existing at the time that was like that at the Magic Kingdom. So that was like, that felt really special to be part of.
Yeah.
And like you said, there was like cast previews at midnight, and there was a lot
I don't
of,
even
like,
know if they do
pomp
any
and
of that anymore. I remember, it was just
around
so
it.
cool. Like I remember, I don't know, it was weird. It was different time to be alive. Like I remember going to, like, you had to be here at Hollywood Studios like midnight when they were opening the American Idol attraction.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so
I was
like
in that
I'm in the
too.
commercial, but you were in
I
the
was in the
video for the
pre-show
attraction.
video,
Yeah.
yes.
Because you went a different day and I was in the other thing, and it was funny. So my arm is like
That was
clapping in
the
the thing.
weirdest day to get paid for ever, because
Yeah.
they were like, you're going to come in, and so there was 2 of us from the entertainment department. Everybody else was like equity people that they were like, oh, they're like the pretty, like, normal American Idol looking contestants. And then I was one of 2 gags in the crowd. So one, this guy Dino, who was in the character department, was an Elvis impersonator in the crowd. Like, they like dressed him up like Elvis. And then I was like this very goth,
Oh
like,
my God, yes, I
they
remember
gave me
this.
like
yeah.
tattoos and piercings all over my face
Yeah.
and like crazy punk hairdo. And I was like, so for years, if you went to the American Idol experience and watched the pre-show and they scan by the crowd and you see the weirdos, that was
Well, you know what's so funny to me is that, like, they got rid of the attraction right when they like, the attraction opened, and I feel like the show ended like 2 seasons later.
Yeah.
And then they kept the attraction for so
And then
long,
now
and
the
then they
show's
finally
back.
closed the attraction when the show's back. And Disney did the show. It's not Fox anymore. It's on ABC. So it's so wild to me. It's just like weird. But it's funny. Well, so you said it already. You moved from Disney and you moved some of your creative flair into cakes.
right into cakes. Actually, from Disney into cakes.
Were you on, so for people who don't know you, you were on Cupcake Wars several times, and then Holiday Wars more recently within the last, was that last year?
That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Jeez, time flies. Were you still a cast member when you were on Cupcake Wars that first time, or no?
Yes.
Yeah, right?
The first 2 times.
Both times? Okay.
Yeah, the first 2, because we did those
I
almost
know you-
back to back.
Yeah. Well, and I remember you were on like the favorites episode,
Because
right?
so the favorites episode was shot like, the first episode aired in September, and then like the next one we did immediately like the following February.
Yeah.
Like it was very close together.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting because everybody, like the night that the episode aired, we were not at work, obviously.
Yeah.
Because we were having a party about it. But people who were, there was like a live feed that they were sending us from the parade building that like nobody would step off for Spectro Magic until they like knew, like, did they win?
Yeah. That's so
And
funny.
so like they like filmed the reaction of everybody in the parade building, like,
Yeah.
whoa, like screaming
Yeah.
and stuff. And then they're like, okay, now you really have to go
Yeah, you have to go. The
parade.
parade's going. Yeah. We need to step off. God, Spectrum Magic. What a time.
Yeah.
So, do you know, are any of those episodes, can you watch any of them right now?
I think everything. Well, I know you can still watch the whole season of Holiday Wars.
And that's on
Peacock. Or,
oh, it's,
Discovery.
Discovery Plus, yeah.
Discovery
But
merged
isn't
with
that part
something.
with HBO Max? Yeah, so it must be on Max,
Max,
maybe.
yeah.
So that would be where you'd look for Holiday Wars. And then Cupcake Wars, I think Netflix rotates through the episodes or something. So you got to dig
It's
through
always
that.
just kind of like collection of episodes.
Yeah, I feel like this would be the moment where I'm going to say to plug yourself, which sounds
Oh.
aggressive, but like that I'm just like, I feel like, you know, you have been on these cake shows and everything like that. I mean, most recently, I feel like you made that incredible Star Cruiser
that was great.
cake that
Okay,
that
so I
I
have
helped
to-
carry.
while we're on
People
this
were like, "Why
topic-
were you there?" And I was like,
While we're
"It's
on
my
this
friend."
topic, I have to give the tiniest little like,
Yeah.
explanation for how all of this came about. So in 2009, Ashley was
How you ended up making the Star Cruiser cake.
how I ended up
Which
with
was
any of
ordered
that
by
Star Wars
Ashley
stuff.
Eckstein, yeah.
So in 2009, Ashley had like, she was hosting the Star Wars
Weekends, yeah, back in the day.
and someone who was in entertainment backstage, she was like looking for like something to give the cast, and they were like, "Oh, it's chill."
And you were still a cast member.
I was still a cast member.
Yeah.
So Ashley had like had emailed like saying, "Hey, I was recommended to ask you for cupcakes.
Yeah.
And I made them like Ahsoka ones and Stormtrooper ones.
Which I feel like back then too, like Clone Wars wasn't even as popular as it became.
Yeah, but
It was like still popular, but not like.
I had done like all the characters, like Captain Rex and who's the yellow guy, the blue guy, all the other random Stormtroopers from Clone Wars.
Oh, Cody and
all of
sorry,
them like had their own individual cupcakes, and so that was like the first. So 2009 Star Wars Weekends was the first Ashley cupcakes.
Yeah.
And then
those weren't the Salacious Crumb ones.
no.
Right. Yeah.
So,
'Cause she
but
hosted again
we had
later.
never met in person, and then Steve.
Oh yeah.
So, because it was like liaisons of Hollywood Studios met me like out behind Tower of Terror to get the cupcakes and take them to the studios.
Yeah.
So.
That's fine. I worked at Hollywood Studios while all this was happening. It's so funny.
You could just like,
Yeah.
hey, here's
Yeah.
your cupcakes. Anyway, so that was all very transactional, shared photos back and forth, and like, hey, this is the thing. And so Steve, my husband, Steve,
Pre-husband, I think, days, right? Or were you married at that point?
We had gotten married,
Okay.
and he was working for Legoland.
Oh yes,
And, and he got tickets to go to Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim, and to set up the Lego booth. Like he had to like.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And so it's like 6:30 in the morning, and the Lego booth, we like go in to set everything up, and the Her Universe booth was like facing the Lego booth. And Steve was like, "Oh, Ashley, this is Jill who made you the cupcakes." And she was like, "Chili cakes?" Like screaming, and like so that was the first time we had met in person.
Oh, that's so cool.
Was at Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim through Lego.
and she orders from you pretty regularly. I mean, not that that's anybody's business.
No, but
she
that's
gets
how,
creative orders. That's what I love.
Then that's what we did. Star Wars Celebration here when it came here. That was the Salacious ones.
Yes, yeah.
And then
I remember those because I was at Celebration and like I remember.
And then
I think that's where I met her the first time.
The Star Cruiser cake. But
And now I'm a Her Universe ambassador.
I know.
Because you were like, hey, they're starting to do this thing on the Her Universe thing. Yeah, and it's funny.
One day I'm going to get you to be a model for the fashion show, I swear.
I want to. You know, they did a meetup here the other night, but I had already bought tickets to a movie and thing, Beetlejuice, and it was literally the exact same time it was happening. And my friend that was there didn't tell me they were still there when it was over because I was like, should I come here? And I was like, oh, we were here for an hour afterwards. I'm like, ah! Shaking my fist at you, but it's fine.
So that's how you came to carry the Star Cruiser cake.
That's how I ended up carrying the Star Cruiser cake, if you saw it on Instagram.
Because in 2009, I made cupcakes for Star Wars.
But it was cool. I mean, Ashley wasn't there that day, but it was very sweet. I believe Ashley was Ashley commissioned that from you.
Yeah.
And it was for the cast members, and we delivered it on the day of the last departure, or the second to last departure?
Yeah, it was like the day that they were leaving for the last.
Yeah, so I thought that was really sweet of her, and they were all very, very appreciative, very nice.
Very
and
emotional.
Phenomenal cast members over there, though, too, because I've been fortunate enough to go on the Star Cruiser, and I will tell you, like, there was a girl that walked in the break room when I was walking out. She's like, oh my God, it's so good to see you again. And I was like, you are the nicest person I've ever met. And I, like, always give her, like, cast compliments.
Well, I got a bunch of really, like, sweet messages from random cast of the Star Cruiser, like, later that day that were like, this just, it's been a hard week. It's been a hard time.
Oh, so many of them have, like, the tattoo of the symbol everywhere. And I was like, this really meant a lot to a lot of people. Yeah. And it's sad to see it go, honestly. But it's sad to see.
It lives on in the people.
It does. It really does. And it's sad to see this video end. So, where are we going to look at where are we going to follow your case?
Instagram's mostly the best place to follow, which is at Jilly Cakes Bakes, BAKES.
Yeah, and you, what the reason why I kind of brought this up to tie it still to Disney is that, not just a plug for you, but like you do a lot of like deliveries, I feel like, down to Disney all the time.
A lot of Disney resort deliveries. So if you're out of town and you're coming in town, you can place an order.
So looking for something special. Send her an email. Get some ideas. Just something to get the little extra. The holidays are right around the corner, so I feel like there's a lot of special things coming up. And as somebody who has a holiday birthday, January 1st, it's one of those things where I'm always like,
Maybe New Year.
Yeah.
One of these years we're going to get you in the diaper.
Just in the big diaper.
Keep the little sash.
You're married. keep dreaming. I'm going to tell Steve about this later.
It was Steve's idea.
Okay. Well, that concludes another Tap House Talks. I feel like I need like a small pipe that blows bubbles and a smoking jacket and a big chair. So I'm going to put that into my budget for these episodes for the future. But thank you, Jill, for joining me here. I hope all of you enjoyed this video as well. It was really fun to just talk with a friend about some like nostalgic Disney feels, and hopefully you feel like you got a little piece of that feeling with us and what it was like for somebody whose dream was to be a Christmas parade dancer and have that come true, right? So that's what it's all about. It's just we're all here because we're all sharing this love of this crazy thing called Disney, and we're all doing it in different ways. So I like getting everybody's perspective on that. So if you have some way that you like Disney that was like something like how Jill was talking about, like some sort of dream you had and you got to do it, whether that's staying at a resort, going on a ride, to a park, to the parks in general, period, please share that with us. Just leave it in the comments below. I'd love to read that. I could use a little serotonin bump every now and then. So serotonin, is that the word when people get happy? I can't remember. Just give me a little bit of that down there. So if you like the video, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and of course don't forget about Dreams Unlimited Travel when you are booking your next Walt Disney World vacation. Thank you everybody for your continued support, and I will see you next time with another episode of Tap House Talks. Bye everyone.